Hello, I'm Bert Martinez, and this is Money for Lunch. I'm coming to you from Houston, Texas, inside Polo's restaurant. And today's special guest is Chris Kelso. We're going to be talking about real estate and what's happening not only here in Texas, but nationwide. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Bert. It's a pleasure to be here.
Now, Chris, what I want to do is I want to talk to you first about the general market. What's happening? What do you see happening in the general market?
Well, the real estate market definitely has some challenges to it on a national level. I would say if you look at areas such as California, Florida, Nevada, there's some challenges. There's a lot of available inventory out there, and the tightening in the market in general, especially when it comes to financing, has really created some additional challenges on those areas. However, if you look at certain areas like Houston, and specifically Texas in general, it's a very good market right now. Houston, the other day, according to the Houston area realtors, has looked at a 9.1% appreciation in market value from 12 months ago to today. We've also seen our inventory levels, as far as the amount of inventory we have on the ground, is 6.4 months worth of inventory. Compare that to an area like California, it's almost 100 months, or Sacramento, 110 months worth of inventory. We're looking very good right now.
So right now, Chris, would you say is a good time to buy a home?
Well, it's always a good time to buy a home, but as I like to tell everybody, the best time to buy a home is when it's best for you. There's nothing that I can do to determine that. There's nothing that your realtor can do to determine that. The best time to buy a home is when you feel it's best. Now, there are certain scenarios, if you look at it today and see the market, rates are at an all-time low. Inventory in certain areas are very high, which allows you to be able to go out and negotiate the best deal for a new home. However, you have to be very cautious when you're doing so and understanding there is risk associated with putting your home on the market and buying a home. At the end of the day, and I know I tell everybody this, it's truly what's best for you, but now is a good time.
What about credit, Chris? Is credit still something that is impossible to get? Has all the changes made it difficult to buy a house?
Well, credit currently is impacting the market in a very big way. There's been a tightening in a lot of the lending standards that we've been seeing out there. And if you look at, in general, where we stood 2 years ago to today, a lot of individuals can't get the loans that they were getting 2 years ago. A couple of factors have factored into that. One is that the average FICO score, which is the Fair Isaac Company scoring model, has actually been moved up to about a 620 average, whereas 2 to 3 years ago, you could get a home on 95, 100% financing down to a 500 credit score. Mortgage insurance is also very difficult to be getting nowadays. But in general, the market is tight, but there is still a lot of lending going on right now.
Now, Chris, last year there was quite a bit made, or maybe 2 years ago there was quite of activity that centered around all the lender fraud. What has transpired since then? What's happening with lender fraud or mortgage fraud or real estate fraud, and also what's happening with RESPA?
Well, real estate fraud was one of the aspects that got us into the trouble that we're in today, unfortunately. If you look at real estate fraud where it was 3 years ago, there was an overabundance of credit. And so it was very easy to try to get these straw buyers to come on board and to buy these homes. And unfortunately, a lot of individuals got swept away with easy credit, very little documentation associated with that credit. And there was a lot of fraud, unfortunately, that happened. Go forward now 3 years and where we are today versus where we were 3 years ago, and unfortunately real estate fraud is still very prevalent out there, and now it's sort of the opposite effect. What we're having is we're seeing that real estate fraud is now being caused by the desperation of individuals wanting to get into a home. Now we're seeing frauds of individuals not giving the correct information, or giving, unfortunately, information associated with their income or assets or available down payment. A lot of that is now being done. So there's still a lot of fraud going on out there. It's more of desperation versus the easiness of what it used to be able to get done. And I don't think we're ever going to see real estate fraud truly go away from where it was. But hopefully some of the changes that are going on with RESPA and some of the new rules and tightening of the lending environment will make it easier for us to catch it, which I think it is doing.
And finally, Chris, give us a wrap-up. What do you see happening in the market, in the commercial real estate market, in the next 10 to 12 months?
The commercial market does have some challenges to it. I personally don't think it's got the doom and gloom that everyone's been reading in the market right now. If you look at the commercial market and where it stands today, we are set to probably have a little bit of hit. There are a lot of commercial companies out there right now that are being, I guess, sacrificed a little bit because of the credit requirements. The bond markets have really dried up. The investors have really dried up. We're seeing some acquisitions going on in the commercial side of things. However, because of the tightening in the lending market in general, especially 2 years ago and a year ago on the commercial side of things, not a lot of new buildings have been going up nationwide. So it's really caused the inventory levels to maintain relatively steady. And I think that's going to be sort of our saving grace when it comes to the commercial side of the business.
Chris Kelso, everybody. Again, thank you, Chris.
I appreciate it. Thank you very much for having me on board.
Again, that was Chris Kelso. Chris, thank you very much. When we come back, we're going to be talking to Polo Becerra. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we're filming our show at Polo's signature restaurant in Houston, Texas. Polo started as a busboy 20 years ago, now has 5 restaurants in the Houston metro area. When we come back.